The royals really are all related. Thank you to June's Journey for sponsoring this video. Royals have long been obsessed with keeping their wealth, power, and titles in the family. So for centuries, they almost exclusively married their own cousins and extended relatives, leading to a somewhat shallow gene pool. This practice is clearly illustrated by the fact that all 10 European hereditary monarchs alive today can trace their ancestry back to a single royal couple, Johan Willem Friso, Prince of Orange, and Marie Louise, Landgravine of Hesse-Kassel. In this two-part series, we'll meet this prolific pair and 76 of their descendants who went on to sit on the thrones of the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Luxembourg, Spain, the United Kingdom, Belgium, Monaco, and Liechtenstein. And we'll take a fascinating journey through the last 300 years of European history. Johan Willem Friso was born in 1687 to Henry Casimir II, Prince of Nassau-Dietz, and Henrietta Amalia of Anhalt-Dessau. In 1689, his cousin, Prince Willem III of Orange, became King William III of England and was co-monarch with his wife, Queen Mary II. William remained Prince of Orange in France and stadtholder of 5 provinces in the Low Countries. But in 1702, he died childless. England went to his wife's cousin, Prince George of Hanover, while the title of Prince of Orange went to his cousin, 15-year-old Johan Willem Friso. The 5 Dutch provinces should have been Johann's as well, but King Frederick I of Prussia pursued his own claim on the territories. Johann was already stadtholder of Friesland and Groningen, which he had inherited from his father at the age of 9. At 20, he joined the army and fought in the War of Spanish Succession. When he was almost killed by cannon fire, his mother decided that it was time for him to marry and father an heir. She gave him a choice of 2 German princesses and told him to consider the match as though he was choosing the most comfortable of 2 chairs. John went to Hesse-Kassel to meet the Landgrave's daughter, Marie Louise. He became engaged to her at once and never met the other candidate. Possibly because he was struck with love for her, but more likely because her father's power would help him secure his disputed Dutch territories. Marie Louise gave birth to a daughter, Amalia. A few months later, John was on his way to meet King Frederick of Prussia about the succession dispute. The ferry boat he was traveling aboard overturned in a storm, and Prince John drowned at the age of 23. His son, Willem, was born 6 weeks later. Marie Louise was one of 17 children of Charles I, Landgrave of Hesse-Kassel, and Maria Amalia of Courland. Her elder brother became King Frederick I of Sweden. She was not considered beautiful, but she was charming and kind to people of all ranks. Her son became Prince of Orange at birth, and she was appointed his regent. Though she had no political experience, her intelligence and thoughtfulness made her an outstanding leader. She had to deal with the crisis of shipworms, parasites which arrived from the Far East aboard ships and devoured the wooden dikes that kept much of the Low Country out of the North Sea. With her people facing disaster and starvation, Marie Louise pled before the State General for tax revenue to repair the dikes. Her speech was so compelling that she was not only given the funds, but also soldiers to do the repair work. Marie Louise was fondly called Aunt Mary by the Dutch. She was also beloved by her 2 children. When her son reached his majority, she gracefully handed power to him and precedence to his wife, and retired. Following the deaths of her son and daughter-in-law, she came out of retirement to serve as regent for her grandson, Willem V. She died at the age of 77. The Dutch line. Willem IV inherited the title Prince of Orange at birth. During his lifetime, the provinces his father had claimed all accepted Willem as their stadtholder. He married Anne, Princess Royal, eldest daughter of King George II of Great Britain, and they had 5 children. In 1747, the French army invaded the Dutch Republic, and the people decided they needed a strong central leader. They united 7 provinces and named Willem General Stadtholder. He was also Director General of the Dutch East India Company. Willem died of a stroke at 40, leaving the throne to his 3-year-old son, Willem V. After losing a war with Great Britain, his people forced him out of the country. His wife, Princess Wilhelmina, entreated her brother, King Frederick William II of Prussia, to invade the Dutch Republic. The revolutionaries got the French involved, and they took over the Dutch Republic. Willem escaped to Great Britain, with whom he was once again friendly, and out of spite, he handed over all the Dutch colonies to the British. He tried to invade Holland with the support of Great Britain and Russia, but cholera decimated his troops. Willem gave a speech demanding that he be reinstated as stadtholder, but the people declined. He died in Brunswick at the age of 58. His son, Willem I, made a deal with Napoleon and was granted the Principality of Nassau-Orange-Fulda. But when his Prussian cousins went to war with France, he sided with them and was stripped of his principality. He partnered with Russia to invade the Dutch Republic and kick the French out. The once wealthy Dutch economy had been ruined under the French. They welcomed Willem back, naming him King of the Netherlands and Grand Duke of Luxembourg. He ruled for 25 years, during which he instated a constitution which still allowed him absolute power. Great Britain gave back most of the colonies Willem V had given them, except South Africa and Ceylon. The southern territories of the Netherlands revolted and formed a new country, Belgium. Willem had 6 children with his wife, Wilhelmina of Prussia. Yes, his wife and mother did have the same name. Following her death, he abdicated in order to marry a Catholic, Henrietta d'Oultremont, and pass the throne to his son, Willem II. He was wounded at the Battle of Waterloo. He was briefly engaged to Princess Charlotte of Wales, but she didn't want to move to the Netherlands and instead married Prince Leopold of Saxe-Coburg-Saalfeld. Willem married Grand Duchess Anna Pavlovna of Russia, and they had 5 children. In 1830, when revolt broke out in the Southern Territories, Willem marched his army south, but failed to squash the rebellion. His former matrimonial rival, Prince Leopold, was named King of the Belgians. In 1848, revolutions against monarchy broke out all over Europe. Willem decided to reform his government voluntarily, rather than wait for revolution to break out in his own country. He may also have been blackmailed to do so by a government official who knew of his homosexual affair. Willem died at 56, passing the throne to his son, Willem III. He married his cousin, Sophie of Württemberg, and they had a miserable marriage. He was a violent womanizer and possibly insane. When Sophie died, the 62-year-old king wed 21-year-old Emma of Waldeck and Pyrmont. She had a calming effect on the tyrannical king and gave birth to 1 child, Wilhelmina. Willem had 3 sons from his first marriage, all of whom predeceased him. So when he died at the age of 73, the throne went to his 10-year-old daughter, Wilhelmina. Because she was a female, she could not inherit the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, so that went to her cousin, Adolf. The queen married Duke Henry of Mecklenburg-Schwerin, but her first 2 pregnancies ended in stillbirth. After 8 years of marriage, Princess Yuliana was born to much rejoicing. Before World War I, she visited Kaiser Wilhelm, who tried to intimidate her, but she held firm and kept the Netherlands neutral during the war. Queen Wilhelmina had a keen interest in business and built her nation back into an economic power, becoming the first female billionaire along the way. During World War II, the Nazis invaded and the royal family fled to the UK. The Queen sent radio messages home and became a popular symbol of resistance. In 1948, she abdicated in favor of her only child and retired. She died in 1962, aged 82. Yuliana studied international law at university. She married Prince Bernhard of Lippe-Biesterfeld, whom she met at the 1936 Winter Olympics in Bavaria. They had 4 daughters. In 1953, the Netherlands was hit by the most destructive storm in 500 years. 1,800 people drowned, and tens of thousands were left homeless. Queen Yuliana waded through the mud and provided food, clothing, and comfort to her people, forever endearing herself to them. She passed the throne to her daughter in 1980 before beginning to decline from Alzheimer's disease. She died in 2004, aged 94. Beatrix earned a law degree from Leiden University. In 1966, she became engaged to German diplomat Claus von Amsberg. The Dutch were outraged, as Claus had been a member of the Nazi youth and the German army. The couple married amid rioting, but the birth of their 3 children quieted the fervor. In 2013, Beatrix abdicated, though she still makes public appearances in support of her son, Willem Alexander, who is King of the Netherlands today. He studied history at university and served in the Navy. He has participated in long-distance ice skating tours, run the New York City Marathon, and served as a member of the International Olympic Committee. He married Argentinian Maxima Zorregieta Cerruti. The eldest of their 3 daughters, Caterina Amalia, is heir to the throne and Princess of Orange. We all know that relatives can sometimes be a bit difficult. But it's not every day that they come to you to solve a murder. But that's exactly what happens to June Parker in the exciting free mobile game, June's Journey. Travel back in time to the 1920s and help June solve the murder of her sister and uncover her family's many dark secrets hidden in their elegant estate. It's easy to relax while exploring the glamorous mansion and get lost while finding hidden objects and uncovering new clues in the elegantly illustrated scenes. And there are many intriguing twists and turns to keep you coming back for more. So if you want to take a tranquil and stylish trip back in time and support my channel, then download June's Journey for free by clicking on the link in the description. And now, back to history. The Danish line begins with the second son of King Willem I of the Netherlands. Prince Frederick was a commander under Wellington in the Napoleonic Wars. He was an advisor to his nephew, Willem III, and mediated his unhappy marriage, preventing a scandalous divorce. He married his first cousin, Louise, daughter of Frederick William III of Prussia. They had 4 children, the eldest of which was Louisa. At 22, she wed Karl, son of King Oscar I of Sweden and Norway. He was disappointed with her looks, but went ahead with the marriage as he expected the ancient house of Orange-Nassau to provide an impressive dowry. But in fact, her dowry was disappointingly small. The couple were unhappy. Louisa was introverted, and Karl loved to party and conduct love affairs. Louisa had a difficult delivery with her second child, Karl, and was unable to have any more children. Karl died at 2 of pneumonia, and Salic law prevented her daughter from becoming heir. Louisa offered Charles a divorce so he could remarry and father an heir, but he declined. In 1859, he became King Karl XV of Sweden and 4th of Norway. Louisa had no interest in politics and focused on philanthropy. She died of pneumonia at 42. When her husband died a year later, he was succeeded by his brother, Oscar II. Louise's daughter, Louisa, married Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark. She was deeply religious and popular with the people, but strict, bordering on abusive with her children. In 1906, her husband became King Frederick VIII of Denmark, and she queen consort. She was widowed 6 years later and died in 1926, age 74. Her son was Christian X. He married Alexandrine of Mecklenburg-Schwerin, and they had 2 sons. Christian nearly caused a revolution by insisting that the government take all of the German territory of Schleswig when only the northern half wanted to join Denmark. He was forced to back down or lose his crown. In 1940, Denmark surrendered to Nazi occupation. Christian refused to leave and rode his horse through Copenhagen daily, becoming a symbol of resistance. He personally funded the evacuation of Danish Jews to neutral Sweden. He lived to see the Nazi defeat and died in 1947, age 76, leaving the throne to his son, Frederick IX. He served in the Navy and had the tattoos to prove it. He loved to play piano. He was considering an engagement to Maria or Anastasia Romanov, daughters of Tsar Nikolai II of Russia. But those plans were dashed when their father was deposed and they were executed. He instead wed Princess Ingrid of Sweden, also a descendant of Johann and Marie. As queen, she modernized the royal family and did away with many outdated court customs. They had 3 daughters, so Frederick changed the succession so his eldest child, Margrethe, could succeed him. His 25-year reign saw the evolution of Denmark from an agrarian state to a booming modern economy. He died of heart failure in 1972, age 72. His daughter, Margrethe II, is the modern Queen of Denmark. She studied archaeology at Cambridge University and attended the Sorbonne and the London School of Economics. At 27, she married French diplomat Count Henri de la Borde de Montpassant, and they had 2 sons. She is a painter and illustrated the Danish edition of the Lord of the Rings series. She has also designed costumes for the Royal Danish Ballet and her own clothes. Her heirs are her son Frederick and his son Christian. The Norwegian Line. Håkon VII, King of Norway, was the second son of Frederick VIII of Denmark and Queen Louisa. At birth, he was named Karl. He married Maud of Wales, a granddaughter of Queen Victoria at Buckingham Palace. The pair had a love match and 1 son. Karl's maternal grandfather had been King of Sweden and Norway. So in 1905, when Norway dissolved their union with Sweden, Karl was offered the Norwegian crown. He insisted on a vote to determine if the people wanted a king, and he was elected by a 79% majority. He took the ancient Norse name of Håkon and was well loved by his new people. When the Nazis invaded, Håkon refused to abdicate, so the Germans bombed him and his family. The royals hid in the snowy woods, eventually reaching the border of Sweden, where they were evacuated to the UK. Håkon broadcasted messages of hope and defiance back to Norway via the BBC. Norwegians wore coins emblazoned with his monogram, H7, as a symbol of resistance. Following the German defeat, Håkon returned home to much acclaim. He died in 1957 at 85. His son, Olaf V, was down-to-earth and popular. He married his first cousin, Princess Marta of Sweden, also a descendant of Johann and Marie. They had a happy marriage and 3 children. She was a beloved crown princess, but died of cancer at 53, 3 years before her husband's ascension, so she never got to be queen. Olaf reigned for 34 years and died in 1991, age 87, passing the throne to his only son, Harald V, the current King of Norway. When he was 3, he fled the Nazis and moved to Washington, D.C. with his mother and sisters. They were frequent guests of the Roosevelts at the White House. He He attended the Norwegian Military Academy and Oxford University, where he rowed crew. Harald represented Norway in sailing in the Olympic Games of 1964, 68, and 72. He fell in love with commoner Sonja Haraldsen. His father wanted him to marry a foreign princess, but Harald said he would marry Sonja or never marry and bring an end to the dynasty. The couple wed in 1968 and had 2 children. King Harald and Queen Sonja have modernized and further popularized the Norwegian royal family and opened their palaces to the public. Harald's heir is his son Håkon. In 1990, Norway moved to absolute primogeniture, so Håkon will be followed by his eldest child, Princess Ingrid Alexandra. The Swedish line begins with the granddaughter of Johan and Marie, Carolina, Princess of Orange-Nassau. During the minority of her younger brother, Willem V, Carolina served as his regent. She married Charles Christian, Prince of Nassau-Velberg, and had 15 children, only 7 of whom survived to adulthood. Her son, Frederick Willem, inherited his father's title of Prince of Nassau-Velberg. At 36, he married 16-year-old Bergravin Louisa Isabel of Kirchberg, and they had 4 children. The eldest was Willem, who became Duke of Nassau following the death of a cousin. He married Princess Louisa of Saxe-Altenburg and had 8 children with her. When she died, he married Princess Pauline of Württemberg and had 4 more children with her. 3 of Willem's offspring are ancestors to modern monarchs. Sophia married Crown Prince Oscar of Sweden. She was calm, practical, and popular, and was one of the first European royals to breastfeed her 4 children. The Queen joined the new evangelical movement and became deeply religious. She shied away from public life, but worked to improve medical care under the guidance of Florence Nightingale, and founded the first nursing school in Sweden. Her son Karl, Duke of Västergötland, married Ingeborg of the Danish royal family. Their daughter Martha was the mother of Harald, the current king of Norway, and their daughter Astrid married King Leopold III of Belgium and was the grandmother of Philippe, the current king of the Belgians. Sophia's eldest son was Gustav V. He married Victoria of Baden and had 3 sons. He became king in 1907, aged 51. After he dismissed a prime minister, Parliament stripped the monarchy of all political power and made him a figurehead. During World War II, he made the still controversial decision to comply with Nazi requests for logistical support, possibly preventing an invasion and allowing Sweden to remain neutral. Gustav vehemently opposed the persecution of Jews, many of whom escaped to safety in Sweden. The king was an avid hunter, sportsman, and played tennis competitively into his 80s. He died in 1950, aged 92, and was followed by his son, Gustav VI Adolf, who married Princess Margaret of Connaught, a granddaughter of Queen Victoria. They had a happy union and 5 children. While pregnant with her 6th child, Margaret died suddenly of sepsis at the age of 38. She was deeply mourned by her family and Sweden. Gustav married his first wife's cousin, Lady Louise Mountbatten, but the couple had only 1 stillborn daughter. He was a lifelong amateur archaeologist and book lover with an impressive library. He was a popular king and died in 1973, age 90. His son, Gustav Adolf, married Princess Sibylla of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, also a Johann and Marie descendant, and they had 4 daughters and a son. The prince was killed in a plane crash at the age of 40. So when his father died 26 years later, the crown passed to his only son, Karl XVI Gustav, who is king of Sweden today. In 1975, he became king at the age of 27. He married German-Brazilian Sylvia Sommerlath, whom he met while attending the 1972 Olympic Games in Munich. They have 3 children. Their second child, Karl, was the heir at birth, but in 1980, Sweden became the first European monarchy to move to absolute primogeniture, and eldest child Victoria became the heir. Her eldest child, Estelle, born in 1912, is expected to follow her mother as queen. Willem, Duke of Nassau's third daughter, Helena, is also an ancestor of King Carl XVI Gustaf. Her daughter Helena married Queen Victoria of the UK's youngest son, Leopold. They had 2 children before he died of hemophilia at age 30. Their son, Charles Edward, was taken under wing by his cousin, Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany, who secured him the dukedom of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha when he was 16. During World War I, Charles Edward sided with his cousin Wilhelm and was stripped of his title of Prince of the UK. During the German Revolution in 1918, his duchy was abolished. He joined the Nazi Party in the hopes that they would restore his throne. Following the Nazi defeat, he was put on trial for war crimes and bankrupted by heavy fines. His daughter, Princess Sibylla, married Prince Gustav Adolf of Sweden in 1932. She was well liked for her sense of humor. She died the year before her son became King Carl XVI Gustaf of Sweden. The Luxembourg line begins with Adolf, son of Willem, Duke of Nassau. His first wife, Grand Duchess Elizabeth Mikhailovna of Russia, died in childbirth. Adolf built a Russian Orthodox church to bury her in. He married Princess Adelheid Marie of Anhalt-Dessau and had 5 children. Since Luxembourg became an independent nation in 1815, the King of the Netherlands had also been Grand Duke of Luxembourg. King Willem III's only surviving child, Wilhelmina, inherited the throne of the Netherlands, but was barred from inheriting Luxembourg because she was a woman. So it went to her cousin, 73-year-old Adolf. He knew very little about the country he now ruled, and left governing up to politicians. He died at 88, passing the throne to his son, William IV. Because he was a Protestant set to rule a Catholic country, he married Princess Marie Anne of Portugal, who raised their 6 daughters Catholic. He changed the law to allow women to inherit the duchy, and his daughter Marie Adelaide followed him as the first Grand Duchess Regnant of Luxembourg. Her German sympathies made her unpopular in World War I, and she was forced to abdicate. The people voted to keep the monarchy and hand the throne to Marie Adelaide's younger sister, Charlotte. She had 6 children with her husband, Prince Felix of Bourbon-Parma. During World War II, the Nazis occupied Luxembourg and offered to keep Charlotte as Grand Duchess, but she refused to collaborate and fled to the UK with her family. She sent encouraging radio broadcasts home. In 1964, Charlotte abdicated in favor of her son and retired. She died in 1985, age 89. Johann attended university in Canada and the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst in the UK. He joined the Irish Guard and was part of the Allied liberation of Luxembourg. He married Princess Josephine Charlotte of Belgium, also a descendant of Johann and Marie, and they had 5 children. Josephine was renowned for her taste, refinement, and dedication to charity work. She oversaw the restoration of the Grand Ducal Palace. Jean's 36-year reign brought stability to his war-torn nation, which grew into a financial center and the wealthiest nation per capita in Europe. He abdicated in 2000 and died in 2019, aged 98. His son, Henri, is the modern Duke of Luxembourg. He attended the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst and studied political science at the University of Geneva. There he dated fellow student, Cuban-born Maria Teresa Mestre y Batista. They have 5 children. Henri is a member of the International Olympic Committee and the World Health Organization. His heir is his eldest child, Guillaume, followed by his son, Charles, born in 2020. In the next video, we'll meet the descendants of Johan Willem Friso and Marie-Louise, who are also ancestors of the modern monarchs of Spain, the United Kingdom, Belgium, Monaco, and Liechtenstein. A special thank you goes to my patron, Jeffrey Berry Jr., for suggesting this fascinating topic. Don't want to wait to see the next episode? Patrons get exclusive early access to almost all of my multi-part series on Patreon early. If you would like to become a patron, check out the link in the description. Thank you for watching.